Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of our F1 23 Driver Career Mode. I hope you're all having a great day. Today, we have some big news. News we've been waiting all season for. Next year's regulations, we have finally got confirmation that we will be seeing regulation changes in the next season here. So we don't quite know what departments are going to be affected as of yet, but I'm hoping we find out in the next episode in Qatar. But we as well have that championship battle between Russell, Hamilton, Verstappen, Perez heating up going into this Singapore Grand Prix weekend. So although we have, these regulation changes looming on us now, we have a championship battle to focus in on. We as well come in with a big upgrade this weekend if you saw it right at the beginning of the video. So this brings us even closer to the teams in front of us of, Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari, as well as McLaren. We're practically dead even now with Ferrari and McLaren. So that's a big step forward from where we are just 5 episodes ago. We are now in the mix. We can get podiums, I would say. Obviously, it's going to have to rely on a little bit of luck on our side, kind of like Baku early on in this season, because Mercedes and Red Bull, they should be able to occupy the first 4 positions. So we're going to need their drivers, of course, to have a few issues here and there, but we definitely have a car now capable of fighting. And now with the regulation changes on the way, we are going to be putting, all of our focus into that and basically trying to make sure that we go into Season 4 with a great car. That is, if we're staying with Aston Martin. We have not signed an extension with this team yet, so we'll have to wait and see what's going on there, but I've been pretty happy with the progress we've made lately. The engines haven't been failing. Right now, it's up in the air if Perez is going to be leaving Red Bull or not. We know Hamilton is leaving Mercedes, but from what I'm hearing, we're not even a candidate there. We might get some more news on that here today in Through the Grid later in the Grand Prix about what's going on with that. We roll into qualifying, however, and an interesting one on the way. So it's supposed to start raining at some point here in Q1 or Q2. So my first lap was pretty rough in Q1. I was only P19 and I only gained about 2 to 3 tenths of a second, but that was enough to actually allow me to get in to P13. I knew I had more pace in the car. You can see Piastri, Porsche, Butler, Iwasa, and Sargent all out. Albon at the top of the board. But we were all hustling to get out on track in Q2 because the rain was imminent. It was about to hit the circuit, and you can see myself just hustling around this circuit trying to get, be basically one of the first 10 to make a lap, because there's the rain right there. The rain is falling about halfway through my lap here in Q2, and it was coming down enough to where it was already affecting the track within moments. So this is going to get interesting. You can see me having a bit of a moment here going off circuit. Don't cut the track to a point where it invalidates my time. I let off enough, but then as we go down towards the final corner, we're going to have another issue, and I back out of it, make sure we don't invalidate the time. We cross the line. It's only P8, and we're going to drop down to P9 as Bottas crosses the line, but fortunately the rain was falling so quickly that the cars behind us could not go quicker, which means Russell, Hamilton, and Perez are out in Q2 while Verstappen makes it into Q3. And that development has turned into a huge opportunity this weekend for not only myself, but Max Verstappen to, of course, close in on the World Championship battle. We come to our one and only lap in Q3, and everybody now on the intermediate tire. As you can see, the track pretty damp at this point now. You guys know we thrive in the wet conditions, so I was hopeful for a pretty decent lap, and I was pretty happy with how it was going so far. Everybody right now making their final laps going pretty quick, but you can see they're all in that terrain of cars, and EA or Codemaster still hasn't fixed that. You would think would have them more spread out for their final laps of racing. Lawson, now Norris to the top of the board there, and then Max Verstappen's going to come through and set the time to beat a 1:42.085. Do we have it in us now as we head down towards the final couple of corners? We're putting in a pretty banger lap right now. Aiden Jackson, Lawson, P6, P7 for the rookies. Great efforts from them through the final couple corners. What's it going to be? It's close to the line. It's very close, but it's not enough. It's P2, and Verstappen gets us by 4/1000ths of a second. Our teammate of Sonoda, a great effort as well in 4th. Norris, Albon 3rd, and 5th. Leclerc, Lawson, Jackson, Bottas, and Gasly there, the top 10. What a grid. This is going to be an interesting Grand Prix. We have a good chance today. Let's head to the grid.
Marina Bay hosted a Grand Prix that briefly ran in the 60s and 70s, but the Garden City re-entered the calendar for good in 2008. We missed it for a couple of years, but it was great to come back to the Singapore Grand Prix. Things have changed slightly around the Marina Bay circuit for 2023. 4 corners have been taken out, the lap length reduced to just over 3 miles. That might be a welcome relief to the drivers, might be even more of a relief for their brakes. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And Golden Boy completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Tsunoda, Albon, Leclerc, Liam Lawson, Jackson, Bottas, Gasly, Russell, Sainz, Hamilton, Perez, Ocon, Oscar Piastri, Teo Pourchaire, Butler, Iwasa and Logan Sargent. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway.
I am feeling very confident for this Grand Prix. You guys know by this point, you know, Singapore is my favorite circuit in the world. I've always loved racing here, and I'm excited for this one. We were in position last season to potentially win. It didn't quite work out. Could we do that today? We're going to need some help. We're going aggressive. I don't like starting on softs, but we're starting on softs here under the lights in Singapore tonight. Let's get ready to roll for the formation lap.
Here we go then, the formation lap gets underway and the excitement here is building as we near ever closer to the start of the race. Which team will come out on top? Who's got their strategies right for today's race? Well, we'll soon find out.
Okay, Max, a good chance to gain a lot of points here tonight.
Yeah, just keep me updated on what the Mercedes are doing.
We're almost ready to start the race as the cars take their positions on the grid, with the drivers and teams making their final preparations.
Alright guys, we had some help there last night in quali, and we're in a good position here today. I'll try to get him off the grid.
No pressure here. I'll keep you posted on the Mercedes progress.
We have got an interesting one here tonight. Verstappen with a great opportunity to close in a bunch of points on the World Championship battle. Perez, Russell, Hamilton all missed Q3, so they start outside of the top 10 with work to do. What's going to happen? We're about to find out as the last car rolls up to the grid. Logan Sargent in the Williams Martini. Could be his final Singapore Grand Prix. Our former Formula 2 rival. We're ready to roll. 5 red lights from Singapore. It's lights out. We're underway. It's a great launch from Verstappen. Perfect reaction time from the Dutchman, the 3-time world champ. As we dive down into turn 1, a nice clean entrance there. Clean through the top 5, side by side in the background. That's our teammate of Yuki Tsunoda, who's wheel to wheel with Valtteri Bottas in the BMW. We of course saw some of these guys that are used to running towards the midfield in the back have great Q3 efforts. Aiden Jackson, Liam Lawson, the pair of rookies, but Bottas as well for the BMW racing team. You can see right there Jackson ahead, but there's George Russell already making a move. He's on the softs, while Jackson and Lawson are on the mediums. What a lunge from Lawson there on the Alfa Romeo. Haas around the outside of Aiden Jackson. Up the inside he goes, looking for the overtake. Now we have seen the struggles of Connor Sport as the season has gone on. We've seen the back and forth between Jackson and Butler. We've of course seen a few moments of their docu-series that they are doing this rookie season for that team. It's been an interesting watch, but unfortunately Jackson going backwards already. Russell moves through and he's already up towards the points here. Now a great start for George Russell, the World Championship leader, but today his biggest threat might not be Lewis Hamilton in the world title following this Grand Prix. It might be the guy in front of us, of Verstappen. Lando Norris behind myself, Leclerc, Albon 4th and 5th, Leclerc on the mediums, while everyone else around us on this soft compound tire. And Norris was putting a lot of pressure on me early, but George Russell continuing to move his way forward. Here he is going for an overtake now on Liam Lawson, and that's going to move him up into the 8th position, while Hamilton and Perez are only 14th and 16th. They are struggling to make some progress. Tsunoda has now completed the overtake on Valtteri Bottas there for the BMW. As we continue on ourselves, you can see, Verstappen in the Red Bull just flying. There's no pace in the car for him, but we've clearly got a big upgrade in pace overall, which is the promising signs. However, Lando Norris putting a lot of pressure on me early. Russell again, he's going to pass the BMW, move up into P7, and now he's going to set his sights on our teammate of Tsunoda. Hamilton now up to 12th, while Perez has gone nowhere there in P16. So just 3 laps in, and we've already had a lot going on in these opening laps. It helps when, of course, the fastest cars on the grid, 3 of them are outside of the top 10 to start. But coming towards the end of lap 3, you can see 2.3 seconds between myself and Max, but a little bit of a rough exit there is going to open the door for Norris to open that rear wing. He's going to swing to the left side, and he's going to haul the mail past me into turn 1, so he's going to take P2. We drop down to P3. I was just struggling in these opening laps, didn't quite have the pace I was looking for, didn't have the comfortability that I was used to having in Singapore, just kind of trying to find my rhythm, and it was taking a little bit for that to happen. And I was hoping Norris getting in front of me right here is maybe an opportunity to kind of settle in and find that flow, and I felt like I was successful in that, because as we come through to lap 5, it helps that I had DRS from him, but we would be able to stay within that 1 second range, and he would not be able to drive away from that point on, and I would start to actually pressure him again come lap 7. As you guys know, Singapore, one of the most grueling Grand Prix in Formula 1, so hot, and of course the longest Grand Prix, so anytime I come here in a game, I make sure to turn the heat on in my house by about 10 extra degrees up. I'm just kidding, I don't actually do that, I would never think of that. But yeah, staying within this DRS, Leclerc's mediums were starting to kind of get going. The gap wasn't building as much to him anymore. He was about 2.5 seconds back at this point here, as we just continue to try and basically stalk Lando. I didn't quite have enough pace to pass him. I could stick with him, but I couldn't get to him for an overtaking opportunity quite yet. But you can see Verstappen out in front by 4 seconds now at this point. He's long gone. How about Russell there? He's kind of been nerfed right now in P7. He's not able to find a way past Tsunoda. Bottas, Sainz, Hamilton now into the top 10. Perez has gone from 16th to 12th in the recent lap, so he's moving his way forward. Jackson is falling like a rock down to 14th. Lawson down to 11th. Here goes Perez for the position on Lawson. That will move the Mexican driver into the 11th position there. Perez looking for his first world title, and still in these closing races has an opportunity to fight for that, just like 4 drivers do total, both Red Bull and Mercedes drivers. Here we are now putting some pressure on Norris. Lap 13. This is our pit window lap, so we're pitting at the end of this lap. I was trying to get on with it, put some pressure on the Britishman of Norris, but he's going to cover us off. Well, I wasn't feeling aggressive enough to send it there into that braking zone, so I stayed put. Now, at the end of the lap, Verstappen, Norris, myself, and many others are about to head off into the pit lane. I actually tagged the wall on the inside. Fortunately, I did not damage the car. We get down to pit speed, no issues. Leclerc going to go a little bit longer, of course, on that medium tire start that he did. We got a yellow flag on the front straightaway, however, and now on the long straightaway. I don't know what's going on there, but it's Albon. Russell had a little bit of contact with him, but it's Albon blowing up. That's a mechanical failure right there. He's going to be done in the McLaren, and we actually get out in front of Lando Norris, but that's going to bring out a safety car. So we overtake Norris in the pits, we get a safety car, and now this is going to be interesting, because with the Delta, everyone that stayed out is going to pit. Will we come out behind them or in front of them? We're going to find out, because at the end of the lap, here I am absolutely hustling, because Leclerc, Russell, Tsunoda all exiting the pits. It's about who's ahead at the end of the pit line. I'm sending it into the corner, and we barely get out in front of Leclerc, so we maintain P2. Norris drops to 4th, but that got way too close for comfort there. So we stay P2. Verstappen out in front. Leclerc, Norris, Tsunoda the top 5. Hamilton benefited well. He gets right to the back of his teammate of Russell after that mess. And Perez is P10. And of course, Albon at the bottom of the grid. Aiden Jackson somehow ended up dead last, but we would get ready to go back racing here from 2nd place. Verstappen, the control car, he can go whenever he wants. There he goes. He can't just be sleeping just a tad bit, but overall a good restart. Leclerc, Tsunoda, you can see 3rd and 5th, both on the hard compound tire. Basically everybody just about that pitted there is going to put on the hards as we now get rolling. And who is going to be able to make some moves? What can Russell do? We're about to find out, because here he was putting some pressure on Tsunoda on the DRS straight away. No DRS for him quite yet. Of course, this is the first lap since the safety car restart, but he might be able to get the overtake done. Hamilton's right there ready to pounce, but Tsunoda hanging on to the top 5 is not going to be able to stay in it. Drops down to P6. Russell through into the 5th position as he continues to put a great run together after starting outside of that top 10, and you can already see just how much Max Verstappen was driving away from me. Just not enough pace in this Aston Martin to stick with him. Then a couple mistakes right there. One bad corner leads to a second bad corner, and that would allow him to stretch the gap to over a second. Now over 2 seconds as we come through to lap 20 of this Grand Prix. Just really at this point settling in, trying to make sure that the cars behind us don't run us down like Leclerc, who's a second and a half back, Norris, and then Russell at this point running 4th and 5th. But you can see only 3/10 between Norris and Russell. George has a lot of pace in that Mercedes at this point. But yeah, 2.6 seconds a gap now. It's just about managing it at this point. We were driving away from the cars behind us. So now we're going to go through the grid.
Max Verstappen has been unbeatable all weekend and now just has to hang on for 10 more laps.
He has been great so far this weekend. Nothing has fazed him. Is that Hamilton with an issue?
Problems for Hamilton, guys. Huge problems. His engine is failing. Oh my goodness, that's going to cause huge issues for his 9th title run.
Wow, it's not often you see a Mercedes reliability issue, but Hamilton is forced to retire from the Grand Prix in Singapore. This is a huge blow to his title hopes.
Really unfortunate for Lewis. However, there's still enough time for him to get back in it. Focusing back on the rest of the grid, however, how about Aiden Jackson? Started in the top 10 and has dropped to dead last. You never seem to know what you're going to get out of the rookie.
Just want to chime in before we're done, guys, and mention that there's ongoing talks between Norris and Mercedes. And from what I'm hearing, McLaren is set on Jackson if Norris, in fact, decides to leave at the end of the year.
And there you have your juicy info from through the grid. Aiden Jackson potentially eyeing up a McLaren ride. Russell continuing to move forward here. This is an overtaking opportunity on Leclerc into turn 1, not going to be successful. Charles hangs on there in the Ferrari, so we'll see if George can complete the pass a little bit later on. The gap between myself and Max Verstappen, it's now over 4 seconds. I've had no pace for him. We've had good pace today, though. I mean, we have held on to 2nd place, you know, without too much issue. But lap 26, here's Russell now. This is going to be the job done. Up into 4th place he goes. Leclerc, Tsunoda, Sainz, Perez, Bottas just behind there through 9th position. But we're just hanging on, bringing the car home at this point. I realized I wasn't going to obviously be able to run Max down without him having some sort of issue, so I started to bank it down a little bit and really just now in that mindset of making sure I get the car to the finish and hoping we don't have any mechanical issues or whatnot. We have not had a mechanical issue in a while. You know, we were plagued with it at the last half of last season, including this Grand Prix, and we were leading this Grand Prix last season before we got wrecked by George Russell, and then we had the mechanical failure. But then, of course, we've had a couple mechanical failures early on this season, but we've been good ever since, which is good, which makes me a lot more confident in staying at this team potentially for Season 4. But we'll have to wait and see what happens there. A 3rd season with Aston Martin could happen, it might not. We'll wait and see. Slipping and sliding there on the start of this final lap, but it was Max Verstappen who would hang on in these closing moments. It's been a heck of a weekend for the Dutchman, and here he is now 6.3 seconds ahead. Like I said, I backed it down hard at the end, just bringing it home. Verstappen wins in Singapore. We come through the final few corners. Our dream victory at our favorite circuit in the world is going to have to wait, but a great day. 2nd on the podium, and our 2nd podium of the season. We are getting back to where we belong slowly but surely as Perez, driver of the day. Let's head to the podium in Singapore.
They've endured the harsh conditions here in Singapore then to pull off a spectacular win. So Natalie, what do you think helped them deliver this result?
I really feel the track layout combined with the track temperatures we saw today suited their car. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature, and the driver did a great job managing that as well. They just look so comfortable out there. It's like anything, it always looks so easy when it all just clicks.
And now we'll head to the podium here in Singapore. What a day it was, to say the least. I'm very happy, you know, of course, as you could imagine. Honestly, you know, no better place in Singapore to kind of get that mojo back. I mean, I just felt like overall I ran a really good race, really smart race, probably the smartest one I've ran all season. And, you know, it almost went against us when Albon had that mechanical failure when we were in the pit lane. Fortunately, though, it obviously worked out in the end, and we were able to stay in P2 there as we spray the champagne on the top of this podium. Lando Norris, actually, a bit surprised by the fact that he is the best of the McLaren drivers in the points, because it's just felt like Albon's kind of been destroying him all season long. Obviously, it helps that for Lando that Albon had that mechanical failure here today, and Lewis Hamilton being the other one with the mechanical issue. Aiden Jackson, the last one running. There's the points right there. So P8 still, we could beat potentially Leclerc. Sainz P7, sorry, we could beat Sainz, not Leclerc. We're ahead of Leclerc now, but P5 in the constructors, trying to close in on Ferrari before the season is over. I'll see you guys in the next one for the Jeddah Grand Prix, Saudi Arabia. I'll see you guys then. Have a great day.